Welcome back to the Algorithm. This is episode 6. I'm your co-host Aiden Alger, joined by my co-host Andrew Duran. We got two special guests here with us, Carson Ogilvie and Ryan Ball. Carson was on the last podcast with us, bragging about everything he's done in his past. So if you want to give us just a little light background about yourself again.
I was not bragging, but Carson Ogilvie, third year at LSU, play shortstop here, and yeah, last year of baseball.
Ball, here you go. All right, this is Ryan Ball. It's my fourth season of college baseball, and this is my fourth school in just as many years. I've been here now. This is my second season, and then I'm a senior out of California.
Awesome. So all four of us went to JUCO. You went to Hill. I went to a couple JUCOs, Lamar, Central. We've all had very different JUCO experiences. So I'm gonna first start with you, Ball, because you went to Central Arizona. I played against you. Hey, you could come in, man. You guys could come in. We're filming right now. If you guys want to say hi.
Come on in.
You went to Central Arizona, a notoriously really good JUCO program.
Yeah.
How was going there? Like, how was the program in general? How was it there?
Yeah, I mean, my journey even getting there was very different. So my freshman year, I was at Cal State Northridge. It was different for me. Wasn't the best fit for me. Actually didn't make the whole decision to go to Central until probably mid-July. I had no idea what I was doing. I entered the transfer portal. I was actually in Portland, Oregon, during summer ball, or for summer ball that year, and I believe there was like a deadline of when you could enter the whole transfer portal. This was a whole new deal. And I believe I was 2 weeks late. And quite honestly, I had no idea who Central Arizona was. I had no idea. Um, so I hit the portal 2 weeks late. I had a couple coaches help out, a couple guys I knew in high school that trained me that, in getting into college, about what I should do and all that stuff. And sure enough, I was hit one day. I get this text from Joe Perez. He's the assistant over at Central Arizona. He and I got to talking. I wasn't too familiar. I did some research. Saw they won the national championship at that time 2 years ago, and the rest is history. I mean, I told my parents about it. They're like, okay, like let's go to Arizona. I think I made that decision probably 3 weeks before school started. Luckily, they had a spot open. Um, and the rest is history. I mean, I loved it there. Very different. Um, for a junior college, um, you know, who is number one in the year throughout the year, won multiple national championships. You think like the facilities were all super nice. I mean, we had good stuff, but man, it just worked, and the rest is history, man. Like I loved it there.
That's awesome. So I played against you in
Yes,
JUCO. Unfortunately, you didn't play that
I
game,
didn't know that one
so I
game.
would have, struck you out. But like in reality, when we played you guys were just like an unstoppable team. Honestly, like you guys were
Mhm.
super good. And I know you had some pretty good stats when you played at Central. I think it was so that conference, that Arizona JUCO conference, is
Yeah.
a wood bat league,
Yes. Yes.
and you had 16 home runs. I
That is
think
correct.
16 in a wood
16.
bat conference, hit over 300, like just absolutely raked. Another thing, how was Grand Junction? Like when you guys went?
Oh man, that was once again like I had no idea really what I was like getting into once I got into junior college. Once I got there, you saw the pictures of the national championship pictures from the previous years. I'm like, oh wow, that looks pretty cool. And then once we got towards playoff time, I was like, okay, what is like Grand Junction really all about? Like I look it up, I'm like, holy crap, like this is like the real deal. And getting there is a whole other story itself. Um, but when we arrived in Grand Junction, I mean, it felt like the whole city like shut down. I mean, people were taking care of us. They knew who we were. I'm like, we're just some junior college out of Arizona. I'm like, we're from in the middle of nowhere. Um, it was actually very special. We did like a few things like community service wise with the little leagues out there. I think our first practice out there, We worked with like a 12U group out there. They got to come practice with us. And of course, just the atmosphere of Grand Junction. I mean, you're playing in front of 10,000 people a night. It doesn't matter what game it was. It's just, it's something I never forget. And obviously, winning that national championship, I think the attendance was 12,500 out there. And it was just, I mean, it gives me goosebumps even thinking about it. But man, it's something, it was quite the experience and overall just an amazing time.
So throughout the year, because
Mhm,
like you guys are a national championship team, and it's
mhm,
expected. I feel like out of you guys every year.
mhm.
Would you say that's true?
Yes,
So like
yes, yes.
you know, grinding through the fall and then going through the spring and every game, like is like how high are those expectations and like what's exactly expected of you as you guys come in?
So throughout the year, when I was there, the coaches would nonstop preach to us like to not look at the rankings because I mean that's something that people always talk about. Like as much as we don't like think about it, we like know about it. Like what our expectations are for that year, and it was just the main focus was okay, like we go sweep somebody, okay, like guys stay off social media, like we're still here, like we know who we are. And that was mainly the biggest thing that was just repeated to us was like keep your eyes off social media, don't give into it, like it's just going to create more of a mental thing than anything. um, and more so it just any team that came to play us, I mean it was that's what they wanted to do. They wanted to take down number one, and that was like another thing, don't buy into the stuff that they're what's happening in that other dugout. It just stay to us and like play the game we wanted to play, and that was mainly our whole mindset throughout the entire year.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Did you guys have any player development stuff there? Like, did you guys have TrackMan, Rapsodo, anything like that at Central?
So, from a hitting perspective, no, actually, not really. I'm not too familiar. I don't really think we had like any TrackMan, any kind of devices and services like that over at Central. Um, I think it was pretty much just med balls, plyos, and a radar gun. That's pretty much all we had over there.
How are the facilities there? Like the cages, indoor stuff like that?
Strictly outdoor. I think the cages were, I think, about a year old when we got there. They just put over like a little covered metal roof. So in the case of, it rains and all that stuff, like we were still able to hit outside. Weight room, there was only one. It was still pretty nice. I mean, there's probably about 8 squat racks in there, your set of dumbbells, probably like 4 machines maybe. Um, but I mean, it at that point, like what I liked about there is the facilities don't matter how you play. Like it doesn't play an effect, and that was the main thing. Like you go to Central Arizona, you get onto campus, and I'm sure when you got there, you're like, this is it. This is what this team is. This is what their facilities are. But it strictly showed that you don't need the best facilities in the country to win a national championship.
That is true because you guys did win the Natty. So you got obviously a ring from that. How
Yes.
nice is the ring?
When I first saw it,
Should have brought it, man.
You
I
should have
know,
brought it.
I know, I could have. The thing is huge. I put it on the first time. It's something I've never really done before. I've never been a part of like a championship team, and to be recognized like that with an award like that, it just like you put it on. We got a couple little things on our ring. It just like looking at that, it's just you're like, wow, like we did it. Like it's we went through all this work and it paid off. Like we stuck together, and that was like the main thing. Like you sit there and you look, you're like, man, like it was real. Like it gets emotional talking about it, but man, we were a very tight group. Um, I'll never forget it. Looking at that ring, it's just a special thing in life, really.
Yeah. You mentioned all the work, and just like all four of us, we've all been to junior colleges. Like we know
Hmm.
the work there is completely different than what it is at supposedly a Division One or
Hmm.
Division Twos anywhere else. It's
Hmm.
it's just completely different. And like I'm pretty sure we all had our own hell week.
Of
You know,
course.
you know. Can you take us like through that? Just
So this is actually I wanted to bring this up. I didn't know what. So we had this thing called the Mountain at Central Arizona. I don't know if you saw that as well. Um,
Maybe.
it was we had it tucked away kind of behind our field, and this mountain I think is probably about I want to say probably 3/4 of a mile, just strictly inclining. And so we would do that, especially in the fall. I want to say at least 2 to 3 times a week, and that would be conditioning at 7 in the morning. And there's a certain time that we had to get up there. And another thing I wanted to bring up was our attire. So it doesn't matter if it was weight room, and this was all through through our Hell Week and stuff like that. We were only allowed to wear black shorts with no logo. And so what I mean by no logo, like it could be the most plain shorts or whatever, but if it had like a Nike logo, Under Armour logo, So you'd show up at 7 in the morning. Guys got plain white T-shirts. Once again, no logos, plain white T-shirts. So I went and bought my 3 pack of Hanes white T-shirts from Target or something like that, and I had a few black shorts. And I'm not kidding. Like this is so real. We probably had at least 3/4 of our team who had holes cut out in their shorts. Like it could be in the most random places, but I mean, I remember my hole was probably about that big on on the black shorts that we wore, and that'd be our attire for whatever. And especially during our Hell Week, we did oh I forget what it was. So we actually had guys carrying each other up the mountain. So we, we'd have Tug. Do you remember Tug?
Yeah.
Yeah. So we had a couple guys bring them up the mountain, making their time.
Bring up Tug.
Bring up Tug.
That's a
Yeah, he's a
that's a big boy.
big boy. But Hell Week, and I think we did some Ironman challenge where we did like 5 laps around the whole entire field.
Yeah.
And each time would be like 50 push-ups in between.
Yeah.
20 pull-ups, 30 sit-ups, and that was our Hell Week. It was wasn't easy at all.
Sounds fun. It's so familiar when you talk about the attire because that's exactly dude Mesa.
Yeah.
We had to wear a gray cotton shirt, no logo, no anything. We had to wear that for weight room, mile, practice, no matter what. And
Yeah.
then shorts, it was the same thing. Instead of black, but it was red.
Yeah.
Red, no logo, gray cotton T-shirt, running a 6-minute mile at 5 in the morning,
Yep.
or a 6-minute mile at 4 in the morning, and then lifting at 5 in the morning. Like it just sounds so familiar. That's just so funny.
Oh.
How was it at Hill?
We didn't have any crazy especially for the morning stuff. We had no you can wear whatever you want. But I mean, yeah, every morning we had to go run. We had to do abs. So it was whenever I first got there, it was 20 poles, and then COVID happened, so they didn't want us crossing over it right next to each other. So we ended up just doing we called it long run, short run, or rodeo run. It was just literally we'd start by our weight room, and then he'd just tell us which one, and we all knew where to go. It was to the certain house, to the rodeo pen, which was, I don't know if many people know that a lot of JUCOs have rodeo teams, but our rodeo team was legit. But we had to run down to the rodeo pen. We had to just cross this highway, run pretty much through the woods, and touch the front door of the rodeo pen, run back. And you kind of just you never knew whenever he was going to follow us. He had the gator. Sometimes he'd drive up just to see if we were going. Sometimes he wouldn't, so you just always had to go the whole way. Yeah, we never really had a designated Hell Week. We would do a Fall World Series, and the punishment for that was hell. It was a seven game series. They drafted for us, but after that, we had to manage our team, manage our pitching and stuff like that. There's a pitch limit and stuff, so everyone on the team had to play. So you had to, no offense, the kids that weren't that good, you had to figure out okay, we're up by 6. Let's throw this kid out there. Yeah. He's got to go for at least 3 batters.
7-game series.
7-game series.
Oh, wow.
And so my first year we were down 3-1. We ended up winning it, thank God. And then so the losers, they have to do, it's 5 stations, and they're all dependent upon how fast one station ends. And the one station that is the time is a backwards mile. So you got to run a mile backwards. And so while they're doing that, so it's probably about 6 or 7 people per team. Yeah. So there's 5 stations, so 6 or 7 people per station. One was carrying this tractor tire from pole to pole, just carrying it. One was log rolls, so just nonstop rolling.
Just nonstop rolling.
Yeah.
Oh my.
Yeah. One was carrying bags of like the drying agent for dirt and stuff, just like 40-pound bags, just carrying it over your shoulder and like jogging from bullpen to bullpen. I can't remember the last one, but yeah, it was like so. I mean, a backwards. I mean, if you run a mile in 8 minutes, that's a decent time.
Yeah.
So a backwards mile, like if you did it in 15 minutes, like you were hustling.
Yeah.
So all those people are doing all the other crap for 15 minutes at least, and then rolling. I mean, the rolling was solely to just make you throw up. Like
That's crap.
there's no strength benefit of that.
Wow.
It's just to
Still
be
getting gash, just getting
yeah, it's just to kind of really mess with you. But yeah, I never had to do it luckily because I won both years. But
Of course.
oh my god, no!
Of
But
course.
and the worst part of it was,
There he goes again, dude.
yeah, right.
There he goes
As they're getting ready for their punishment, our coach would go buy the winners like barbecue.
Oh.
So we would just be brisket, sauce, mac and cheese while they're just rolling and throwing up. Yeah. So we didn't have like a designated hell week, but I guess you can consider that like the hell punishment. But we would do like workout programs that were super tough.
Yeah.
Those were like a 6-week period. But yeah, no like crazy color coordinating, cutting out logos, nothing like that. But
That's awesome. So what about at Lamar? How was Lamar? Any hell weeks, or is it just sometimes some crazy stuff?
Well, I don't know. I mean, I've kind of talked about it a little bit. Just I mean, in terms of like clothing and stuff like that, we had our shorts
Yeah.
that had our logo, and then the shirts that we have kind of like this. We had a gray and a black one with
Mhm.
Lamar Lopes, whatever, right? So that's what we wore. We had to wear our certain color on every certain day. We didn't really have a hell week, but what we did do is like we had punishments. So we had like 3 buckets of balls. So we had 2 BP buckets, and then like our pen.
Mhm.
Every ball was numbered 1 through 60, and so like every day after practice, we would have to count every single ball and make sure we had every ball. And then whatever number, if we had one missing, whatever number that was, we'd have to do like that and like whatever punishment they decided of. So like one time it was like 55, and we had to do these like weird things where you bend over, grab like the back of your ankles, and then squat.
Oh, I think I know.
It was
I
like
know exactly
the weirdest thing ever.
Yeah.
And then one time we missed like 3, so we had to go run 3 miles, like
Oh.
just some stuff like that. But
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
just like you're doing that every day, so
Yeah.
it's getting to the point you're like, dude, you better not miss
Yeah,
a
but
ball.
if you don't
Like,
miss
better,
anything, then
like
you're
you
good.
better get every ball. But dude, you got to think our field, 330 down the lines, 365 dead center.
365 dead center. What are you playing at a little league field?
Felt like it. I gave up 14 bombs. I mean, dude, like there's a lot of fly balls that just get out, and I mean the
Does
wind
the ball
blows.
fly there too?
Wind's always blowing. Wind's blowing out.
Right, that makes sense.
You're losing balls all
Yeah.
over the place.
And you said there were 60 balls.
Yeah.
Okay.
So technically, like 120 balls every day that you're counting, and then along with the pen ball, like the pen bag. But
Mhm.
I mean, if you miss balls out of that, it's
Yeah.
kind of stupid.
Yeah.
But
Well,
yeah, I
that
mean,
sounds like
other than
fun.
that, I mean, not really. I don't think we had.
There
any
was a
really
lot
hell
of
weeks.
player development there, wasn't there?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I've kind of hit on it. Just the lifting, we had push performance.
Yeah.
So they're in Arizona and then Colorado, and so we had them from their Denver facility drive out. They did like their assessments, prescribed. I think there were 3 different like groups that they put us in, like different breathing exercises down to like the lifts and stuff like that, and how
Yeah.
sprint work, all that. And that kind of just led into the throwing side. We used Driveline kind of to like model all of our throwing programs,
Mhm.
and then we used like Track. I don't know if you've used Track before, but
Is
Track
it TRAQ?
yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Track's through Driveline, and that's how our coach used. Like that's what our coach used to program every single one of us
Mhm.
on our each own program. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Track's a good program. too.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I used that when I went to Driveline, and I liked it a lot. To get back to JUCO stuff, how was like your team dynamic at Central? Like, was it how close was the team? Like, because there were some really good players. Like, I remember specific players. Like, we always talk about like Akiko Romero,
Mhm.
Tug,
Yes, we love
Chase
Tug.
Valentine, stuff like
Yeah.
that. Like, how was the team dynamic?
So, I guess going back to it's mainly like location based. I mean, when you played at Central, there was nothing around us. Like I mean, it was probably 20 minutes to the nearest store, and we were just out there. There was nothing but cotton fields out there and like a mall, and there was nothing. So the dynamic. I mean, we were just like I said, we were a very close team, and we did everything together. I mean, it didn't matter if it was on the field or off the field. Um, we were spending time together. And going back to that, that was one of the main things that our coaches were telling about. Like they knew where we were at, they knew the location we were at, and they just preached to us like if it's not here, like just go spend time with the guys, like go do something. And it didn't matter if we went to go get dinner, go hang out with somebody, got play, MLB the Show till 3 in the morning sometimes. Like it just we were so close and we did everything together.
Yeah. At obviously, like I said, there's players that stand out.
Mhm.
Was there any other than yourself because you were really really good? Who were some players that stood out?
So I'll talk about a few. Kiko was one of the.
I struck him out.
Yeah,
there
it
you
was.
go.
I also gave up a bomb.
We
Though,
were
so.
we were waiting for that one. Kiko was unbelievable. I mean, I going back to it from what I remember, he was off to somewhat of a slow start just to begin the year. In general, and then I say only, but ended up finishing the regular season with I think 12 bombs at the time, and so probably one of the guys that I've learned a lot from. Um, I don't think he even knows that, but I learned a lot from him. The way he swings, the way we talk, um, and then one of like the craziest things that I'm not sure very many people know, but the guy hit 12 homers in the postseason. And keep in mind, this was in, I want to say, 12 games. It
Yeah.
was over a 2 week span.
Yeah.
Um,
That's insane.
yes, yes.
He just popped off like that.
Oh, it was to the point in the postseason where whether we were at home against Cochise in Salt Lake, playing to go to Grand Junction and in Grand Junction in general, um, every time he stepped off the plate, it was like this guy's gonna homer, like this guy's gonna hit an absolute bomb. Um, I remember in Salt Lake, there was a time I think we were um, down like 3-2, and this was like win or go home. We lost our first game and we had to beat Salt Lake twice. And I think he hit a homer in the top of the eighth to put us up by two. Ended up winning that game in the first game because we had to beat him twice.
Mhm.
And then the next game, I think we ended up beating them by like 12 runs, and that's how we got to Grand Junction.
Wow.
And then we get to Grand Junction, we lose our first game against Jacob Mizorowski, the guy who's throwing 101 miles an
Crowder, huh?
hour.
At
Yes,
Crowder. Yeah.
second rounder, signed for like 2.5 million out of junior college.
Mhm.
We faced him, we go down, and then going back to Kiko, I believe we played 5 or 6 games Grand Junction. Kiko hit 6 homers in Grand Junction. Um, and now he goes to Arizona, breaks the school RBI record in one season.
Just goes crazy.
I mean,
crazy.
goes off, gets drafted by the Yankees. I mean, for his story, just so well deserved. I mean, he was out of junior college for 3 years, um, goes to U of A, absolutely rakes, and then he gets rewarded. And I mean, it's just something you don't see every day.
At Central, because obviously, like especially after the World Series, like
Mhm.
so I just remember seeing that he ended with like 20 something bombs. I was
Yeah.
like, the dude ended regular season with
26.
like 12 or 13, and I
Yeah.
see him finish with 26. I was
Yeah.
like that's insane.
Yeah.
How much pro attention was he getting at that time? Because I thought he was going in the. I thought he was going to get drafted that year.
Yeah. I mean, it was at a point in time where we were getting, or it was early on in the postseason, and I just remember like looking up. I mean, there's probably 4 or 5 scouts just filming him, and the dude would hit an absolute bomb, and I was like, holy crap! Like it's like the stuff like, I've never been a part of something like seeing like scouts background. I didn't like no, I didn't play with very many guys that were good enough to go pro,
Yeah.
and then seeing this guy being filmed and then just absolutely take off and do it. I mean, it was just unbelievable. He got some recognition, if anything, didn't get enough. I think it was at the time the draft came around. Um, I think the closest he got to was a free agent sign, and I won't talk about numbers or anything like that, but for the quality and how he plays baseball and the way he can play baseball, there was no way. I mean, no
Yeah.
way he would go. And
What round did he get drafted in out of U of A? Was it around 10th round?
seventh,
7th round. That's
seventh
what it
round,
was.
yeah,
Was that the year they went down to 5 rounds?
This was
The year after.
this was
It was
last
the
year.
year. This was last year,
Last
right?
year.
That he got drafted. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, you added you. Yeah,
It was 20.
yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Well, that's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
So, to get away from this baseball subject, the hat you have on right now is called Essentially Golf,
It
and I
is.
know you started your own little business.
Yeah.
Do you want to give us a little background, a little description about the business?
Gosh, I think it was one. I mean, this last summer, really was just. It's kind of a weird story. I was scheduled to go play, a round of golf with a couple buddies on the team. I just look up on Amazon, I'm like, I need golf balls. Like, I don't have any golf balls or whatever. I search up, I'm like, $45 for a pack of 12 golf balls. I'm like, man, this is like, what's going on? Like, it's been a while since I golfed, and I was thinking, I'm like, what if I can sell them for cheaper and get them for cheaper? And I just started doing research. I think I sat on the couch for like 6 hours just looking up like different like distributors, wholesalers, um, and it was hard. I really had no idea what I was doing. Paige and I, we mainly focused like, let's go on the apparel side, a little more structured, a little more secure. Because when we were looking at, like golf balls or, towels, shoes, just looking at all that, it was like, okay, what kind of quality are we getting? We don't really know too much. Um, so we focused in on the apparel side, went really well. Pretty much sold out of all our inventory. Came up with our designs, came up with our colors, and now we're shifting focus. We're getting out of the dead season of golf. It's hard to play golf here. It's snowing, the wind's up to 40 miles an hour. It's raining, it's cold, but summer times are nice here. So we're looking into getting into a few courses over here, doing kind of like a distribution deal. So we might be seeing essentially golf in some courses around here soon.
Oh wow,
Yeah,
that's awesome.
yeah.
So all you fans back home, is it all
Trying to-
sold out right now? Or is there
Yes.
stuff? It's all sold
Stuff
out.
is coming soon.
Stuff is coming soon for all the fans back home.
Yes.
Essentially, you have a website, right?
Yes.
EssentiallyGolf.com.
Yeah.
Go check out EssentiallyGolf.com. He has an Instagram,
Yes.
Essentially Golf. Go check it out.
Correct.
Back and then just wanted to plug that in.
Of course,
Sorry.
of course.
Back to the baseball stuff.
Yes.
Ogie, did you ever play? Did you ever play any Arizona JUCOs?
No. We the furthest we went in the fall, my first year, which the spring ended up being cold, but my first year we would travel to Arkansas and play. Southern Arc is pretty good. They're D2, but we play Southern Arc, some other like smaller Arkansas JUCOs.
Yeah.
But then whenever COVID happened that spring, the following fall, we played pretty much solely in McLennan, which is 30 minutes down the road from us.
Yeah.
They ended up winning the Natty, but
Yeah.
we never really traveled much. I mean, I don't think. I guess I went there. I don't think we were good enough to really go venture out and play some dogs. Like we had a dog in our conference, we never beat them. So what's the point of traveling just to lose? You know.
Would you guys like end up in the conference usually?
Usually, well, before I got there, it was like anywhere from like 5th through like 3rd.
Out of how many teams?
I think 8.
Okay, so
9,
like
8
a
or
little
9.
bit
So middle of the pack, yeah. McLennan was always 1-2, and at that time, Grayson was really good back then. I think they've kind of fallen off, and Weatherford's kind of jumped that.
Yeah.
But it was always McLennan 1-2, Grayson vice versa 1-2, and then Weatherford, Temple, us kind of 3-4-5.
Yeah.
Now it kind of seems like it's Weatherford, McLennan 1-2, Grayson 3-4, Temple 3-4, and it just kind of depends. But whenever we were there, McLennan was legit, and like I'm sure like your team is just like we played them, and I mean we were okay. We were probably 6-7 games over 500. We played McLennan, who ended up winning the Natty. It was like we didn't have a chance. Like whenever we played them, like we had some good starters. We had 1 or 2 good numbers out of the pen, and that was it. They were like 4 legit starters, 7 guys out of the pen that were legit, and then some closers that were legit. I was like, dude, we just can't compete against. Like the Saturday game, I think we got scored like 33-2, and like I mean, it was bad. We had our coach was kind of extreme. We literally we bought our jerseys at my JUCO. Like mine had my last name on it. Like I paid for it. Like we had to take off our jerseys, frickin' turn them in like we're Rudy, and we had to go run behind the field holding hands for an hour and a half because our coach said we got embarrassed and we need to get embarrassed a little bit more. And my mom traveled up, so she was just watching me run holding the hands shirtless for an hour and a half, just waiting to go to dinner with me, But yeah, man, it was just yeah, right. Yeah, we got embarrassed already. We had to go hold hands and run to get. I don't know, but yeah, we never traveled. I don't think we had the funds or just I feel like the need to.
Yeah. What about you? Who's the best teams that you played when you were at Lamar?
Freshman year, COVID year. So I mean, we didn't really get to do much that year. We were maybe like 15 games in, but just no one really. Sophomore year, we played Yavapai. I mean, compared to our region, like we played in Region 9, so I mean our region's not the best.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's got us, Otero, Northeastern, uh, Southeastern's pretty good, or Southeast
Yeah.
Community College in
Southeast.
Nebraska. They're
Yeah,
actually
yeah.
pretty good. They usually win it now. They've been pretty solid, but yeah, we played Yavapai, who was pretty good. I think we lost 2 out of 3. We might have gotten a game out of them.
Every time you keep saying Yavapai, Ball's like,
Yeah,
those
who are
guys.
those? Yeah,
Who
those
are
guys.
those
suck. Then we played Weatherford. I was able to play Weatherford. We played Bo that year, and they weren't bad. Again, I think
You played against Bo, like when he was there?
Mhm.
Did you guys beat him?
One game.
Oh, really?
One game.
Okay. Were you guys good?
We were all right. I think we ended the year like 29-23. Like, but we started the year like 9-19. Like we went on a run. So
On a run? 9-19?
we were started the year 9-19.
Oh, okay.
yeah. Started the year 9-19, and we ended the year like 29-23. It's pretty
Oh,
crazy.
okay. So
Yeah.
that's wild.
Yeah. It was pretty
Wow.
crazy. Yeah. No,
That's
we went
pretty
on
crazy.
we went on a crazy run. We always had talent, but we just couldn't really figure it out. And I mean, playing on a porch doesn't really help every time.
Yeah.
You know what
And
I mean?
then after Lamar, you went to Pine Bluff, right?
Yeah.
How was it at Pine Bluff? We've never talked about that, like on the podcast. Your experience at Pine Bluff.
Yeah, I mean, it was definitely unique. You know what I mean? Like, in terms of like the working out, I guess, like we worked out. Well, okay, let me re-explain. Division 1, same thing. How you probably experienced at Northridge, like when you show up the first month, you're really not doing much. You're not doing much with the team. They're all individual workouts. So I worked out with just mainly the pitchers. So I knew a couple of the guys getting there, but as far as like the whole team, I didn't really know the whole team until maybe a month and a half in. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Same thing when you show back up in the spring. January, you're really not doing much as a team. You're showing up, maybe doing some workouts, get your throwing in, which is cool. Like, it's really cool. But from like a commodity standpoint, or like being with your team as much as you can, like it's nothing compared to junior college with is what I was used to. You know what I mean? So I get there and completely different, and it was just a completely different experience.
Yeah.
You know?
I know, like, obviously that you're in the which conferences again? The SWAC.
The SWAC, yeah.
So obviously, like, as a D1 conference, how would you rate it as a D1 conference?
It's definitely one of the lower tier conferences. I mean, but that's not to say that those guys aren't good. You know what I mean? Those
There's
guys.
definitely a lot of talent.
There's definitely a whole lot of talent in that conference for sure. It's just it's a little bit more dispersed throughout. But like for instance, that year that I was there, Texas Southern had I think 2 guys that went and got drafted.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So there's still those guys that are playing on those teams that have the ability to get drafted.
Yeah.
I mean, those guys could rake. They were fast. I think one of them, led the nation in stolen bags that year. So, I mean.
Okay. And then you guys played, like, your non-conference games. Like, didn't you play some good teams, too? Didn't you play like Arkansas?
Yeah, we played. I got the opportunity to actually pitch against Arkansas, which was pretty cool.
That's sick.
That was pretty
How'd
cool.
you do?
3 innings, 1 run, unearned. I think 3 punchies.
You're so good.
Yeah, it was pretty sick. I was 90-92, top 94 that game. I have it on film.
You're so good.
Pretty good. I have it
so
on
good.
film.
You had to
For those
I'm not
doubters.
lying.
For the
I
doubters.
threw hard.
For the doubters. Yeah. That was definitely something special for sure. We went and played them, played Mississippi State. That was really sick.
That's awesome.
I wasn't able to pitch there, but that was really cool. It was really cool to see how like the fans of that team like treat the opposing fans. You know what I mean?
You said you pitched at, or you went to Mississippi State?
Mhm.
Oh, that's
Yeah, so like, every time you play them, those fans don't think really much of you, honestly. They don't have very high expectations, but they love you. They appreciate you for coming to them and playing them, and they have fun with it. They talk their crap to you, whatever.
Yeah.
But at the end of the game, they love you, and they compliment you. They give you food. You know what I mean? It's awesome. It's a fun experience for sure.
Ball. You also you've been to 4 colleges, right?
Yes.
Your first college is Northridge,
Yes.
then Central,
Yes.
then Tech,
Yes.
then LCU.
Correct.
Out of all four of those, because 4 different colleges, obviously all four completely different team dynamics, completely different cultures. How was it? Because we've talked about this before. Because I've also went to 4 schools.
Mhm.
He's been to 3 schools. Like going from school to school, like how was it trying to establish yourself into these new schools since you're going from school to school a lot?
It's very difficult. Very, very difficult. One, I don't recommend any guy do that. I'm sure you can say the same thing. I think I apologize to my parents too for doing that. But it is very difficult, especially as a freshman going into Northridge. You're like, okay, wow, like Division 1. Can am I going to be able to play at this level? Am I going to be able to stay at this level? And then at that point, you're just a freshman. You're kind of there. I actually had the opportunity to play a lot over there, and but still, getting to know your coaches at that level, it's a whole new world. It's a whole new experience. So that's one separate thing itself, which is a whole big old learning curve your freshman year. And I think we can all attest to that as well. First year of college baseball, you're like, okay, wow, like I don't know what to expect. Central was a little bit different. Like I said, it was a late notice, late transfer, but still, just you're coming in as this new guy. Just this new guy. Who is this guy? And getting to know those guys, it just like you said, at different at every place you go. They were very, very welcoming. As soon as I got there, some guys were quiet. It took a little while, but as the new guy, it's just like, man, like what's right, what's wrong, how do they play the game of baseball, how are the coaches like, and building relationships, it gets tiring after a while, and it's not easy. Made the transfer to Tech, and I mean that's a whole different dynamic once again. Being a guy from California, only knowing what California is like, lifestyle change, and then going out and playing in Texas was a complete different. I mean, as much as you think it'll be the same, um, it's hard. These guys grew up doing completely different things um, than I ever have before, and getting to we can acknowledge.
I'm sorry.
Sorry. We can acknowledge that because I can't. I could have known it in.
Hey,
Who
thanks,
was-
Blair.
Yeah. Who? Wow.
Yeah,
Um,
go ahead. Go ahead. Continue.
That's
Continue.
foul. Yeah. Uh, just playing with guys, especially out here at Tech. Um, Meeting those coaches, I mean, it just a completely, as people can say, like, oh yeah, you can like relate California to Texas, but you really can't. I'm sure you can feel the same exact way, you a little bit too. It's not the same, and the way they go about baseball, the way they go about life, that was the biggest thing. And over there, it was probably the hardest to build a relationship with. Um, and as bad as it sounds, those guys over there, like, oh, some California kid, like, he doesn't know what it's like to live out here. And I think that was the biggest thing. Like, they kind of looked down on it, like, oh, this guy's not as tough as we are out here. Um, and that was hard. That was really hard because it's like I can't relate to, who can't relate to how they grew up and what they do, but I tried. I tried and I'm still trying. Um, and still not the easiest sometimes. And then making the transfer here once again, midway through the year. Um, Last year was difficult, and this has by far been the easiest team to get to know. I've been welcomed. A lot of guys asked a bunch of questions about me. Didn't really care where I was from, although we still get the California jokes. But a lot of guys cared here, and I tell Paige, I tell my family, I tell you guys, I'm like, this is one of the closer guys, a group of guys I've been with. Um, and guys that are going to be around after baseball. Like, and that's something that I took away from my experience here, is that not only on the field are these guys I trust and I'm close with, but off the field after we're done here, those guys are going to be just as close as we are now, and that's what has been the best part about being here.
I have a quick question. I think I've only been to 2 schools, so this is kind of for any of y'all. like you were talking about moving from California to here and just bouncing all over the place. Obviously, adjusting to where you are just in terms of living is got to be pretty tough. But like,
Very.
you also have the added pressure. Like for me, like I had a great year last year to where like if I didn't have that great of a fall, they know what I can do.
Yeah.
So if you're bouncing around a lot, like you have no real like established success at that level or at
Mhm.
that place. So like, how hard is it to like one adjust to everything, new team, everything like that, but then also like go through the lows of baseball like it happens where you just don't hit. Like I bet that's got to be way more challenging than being established at a school and then not hitting for a time period.
Yeah. I'll go real quick and then.
Yeah, go for it.
So that that's something that a lot of people actually don't talk about, and I mean, I like that question a lot. I haven't really expressed it much, but yeah, it is a lot of pressure. You know, I this is the first time I've actually returned to a school after the season.
That's
And
crazy to think
it
about.
took me 4 years to do so. It's very difficult, and it's not only on my part but the coach's part as well.
Yeah.
You know, this guy's fresh. Like they've seen videos. I've maybe played against them, but they don't know what it's like for me to be a part of their team, and I don't know what it's like to be a part of their team. There's a lot of pressure because not only is the factor of building relationships, getting to know the guys and the coaches, but you also got to play and you got to perform. Um, I think just going back to like the main thing that I did was just trusting what has worked for so long. Sometimes coaches approved of it, sometimes coaches have not. But and that's something I'd preach to a lot of players is don't change the way you play based off of who who's your coach, who's teaching you. Take in what they are giving to you advice wise, but don't change who you are on that field because that's what made you so good, and that's something that I kept throughout my whole entire college career.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. And the same thing, like I've been to 4 schools, so obviously I've never established like a set. I'm here, like I've been here before. I know what to do. Like it's going from school to school. It is a lot of pressure, especially like when you're trying to fight for a starting spot, trying to fight for innings, stuff like that. So like when I first got here last year, hey, what's up, Johnny? When I first got here last year, it was like beginning of the fall. I had 2 outings, and then me being the dumb self, I hurt my ankle by falling down the stairs. Yeah, yeah, everyone knows. And it's just at that point I was thinking, I was like, man, these guys must think I'm just an idiot. Like why is this guy here? And like that added even more pressure because then I had to come back after, and I'm like, I need to shove. But then like honestly, the players here, like, because you were here for obviously you've been here already. The players here were so like welcoming. Getting to know the guys honestly just made it way not as much pressure as it was at the beginning. So like getting close with the guys, hanging out with the guys, not just on the field but off the field, it honestly helps a lot with the pressure because then I don't feel like I need to come to the field and be perfect no matter what. Obviously I want to be, but like it's not. Yeah, exactly. So I feel like that helped a lot because it's like the same thing you said when you. This is also the first school technically that I've come back to after a year because I've been to 4 schools as well. So it's like now that I'm coming back, I feel like I didn't have that great of a fall, but like everyone knows like how this guy can pitch. It was a lot less pressure, but it's always still pressure no matter what.
It's a lot less pressure because like you know who you are, everyone else
Yeah,
knows who you are, everybody knows what
exactly.
you're capable of doing, and you know what I mean, and you work hard. Like,
Yeah.
and that's the thing. Like, but like you said, it's a lot of pressure. You know what I mean? And as much as like, I don't think anybody wants to say it, but I feel like it's true. When you go to a new place, like there is that pressure. Nobody knows who you are, and so in my opinion, I think it's a lot easier to make those friendships early on if you do perform well. You know what I mean? And
Oh,
that's just how it is.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it's tough because like you come in, you don't really know that many people, and you start to make those connections with some of the guys, right? And like you said, you come to the field, you're like, okay, at least I can talk to him or have that person to go to or whatever. But man, if you don't perform, like you have that feeling like, okay, if I don't perform, like these guys might not even like me. Like they might not have like a great opinion on me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They might treat me some different way if I don't perform well, like for the team. You know what I mean? And just trying to put that aside, like that doesn't really matter. Like at the end of the day, if they're a good teammate, they're gonna like you no matter what. You know what I mean? And they're gonna have your back and love you and be there for you through your struggles and ups and downs. You know what I mean? And especially with the way that we see the way that everybody works, like that shouldn't be a problem. You know what I mean? Everybody comes up, shows up to the field to work, and nobody goes out there to fail. You know what I mean? We should all have that feeling about it.
But that's how I feel. How this team is like. No matter how someone performs, whether they have a span of 2 or 3 bad weekends or just
Absolutely.
one bad day, like we still treat everyone the same. Like we're all teammates. Like that's why I like this
Absolutely.
team. I'm not saying past teams were like that for me, but I have been through moments like that where I struggle, and it kind of seems like they're not leaving me in the dust, but so to speak, kind of like that.
Yeah. No, I
Where
think that's
now
why
it's
we've been
like
so
if someone
good.
struggles, it's like, hey, who cares if they're struggling? Like they're the same person. We know what they can do, and they're still our teammate. So
Right.
like that's a main reason why I like being here. Um, well, I just want to thank you, Ball. Thank you, Ogie, for coming on the. Thank you for coming on the podcast again. Thank you for not bragging as much this time about your stats. Thank you for bragging about your stats. Again, go follow Essentially Golf. Go look at the website. Go follow them on Instagram. Thank you again, Ball. Thank you, Ogie. Thank you, Duran. And thank you guys for listening to episode 6 of the Algorithm.